D Scott, oh man, D Scott like this nigga late. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Oh man, no, this is beyond. Well, nah, y'all haven't seen beyond CPT time. I've seen beyond CPT time. I've seen 2.5 hours late beyond CPT time. Why am I saying CPT time? CPT and CPT is the time. Sorry. I'm sorry. Look, I'm not late for work, but oh man. All right, so that concludes my 6 day vacation, right? Now we're on a 19-day run, back to back, no days off. Yeah, Mr. Z does that. Why do men brag about this shit that's probably gonna put us in an early grave? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Okay. Don't worry, I'm working on that schedule. I'm working on that schedule so that I won't be working every day. We're in the talks. We're in the talks right now. So let's do our intros. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Super chats will be read out loud. Y'all already know. Oh man, am I stuck behind this traffic? I am. Oh, that's great. Okay, so hopefully you guys watched the links in the description. One of which was Tone Talks, speaking about the crypto kind of crypto Armageddon, I guess is what we'll say, and how we were dealing with schemes, right? Ponzi schemes. God, I left the damn paper with the notes that I wanted to make sure I hit off. God, I left it in the house. Of course I did. I knew I was gonna forget something. At least it was just that. Hopefully, was it just that? I think so. I hope so. Yes. So, actually, let's make sure that, yep, we got work keys. Okay, so we just left a piece of paper with the notes. The important stuff that I want to make sure I didn't forget, and I forgot it. Anyway, so, yeah. Black people falling for schemes, all type of schemes, pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes, all type of schemes, right? Um, and it speaks to our hopeism, right? It speaks to black people being kind of in this precarious situation economically, and us just reaching for everything and anything, right? Anything that alleviates or relieves this feeling of kind of poverty, not just poverty, like this destitution, this lack of upward mobility, this taking 2 steps forward and being pushed 4 steps back. And we just fall for all of the little forex, type schemes, right? We fall for all of them. The cryptocurrency, all of it, right? And even on Tone Talk's own broadcast, the young lady that called in just couldn't, and Tone Talks wasn't the only one I listened to. I listened to the sister Erica Williams also. And essentially she was like, bro, like, I mean, like, Tone and both Erica Williams were like, if you gotta gamble, I mean, like, if you're putting your money, first of all, you shouldn't be putting your money into these things if you don't have the money to lose, right? Right. Ah, D Scott, that's smart. But then I still couldn't read the notes while I'm on the live with you guys. D Scott says that's why you take pictures of the notes, bro. I still could, it would have failed anyway, because when I would click over to read the notes while I'm doing the stream with you guys, you wouldn't be able to hear me. So that would still, yeah, it still wouldn't work. But that would have been smart, because at least I would have been able to check the notes before I pressed live, and then memorize them and kind of spout them off before I started driving. So that would have been a plus. But yeah. But reading the notes while I'm at a red light or something like that, I still wouldn't really be able to do that while I was on the live with you guys. Suckage. Anyway, so yeah, so Erica Williams and Tone Talks are just saying, like, well, not so much Erica Williams on this. Tone Talks on this is like, black people just don't have that type of income, and like, Tone Talks was raised poor, so he knows where, like, this feeling of wanting to, of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. He knows where it comes from, and I know where it comes from, right? I was raised working class, so, and we did dip our feet into poor occasionally, right? So I know what that feeling is. I know that feel. I see what animates, shout out to the brother, the nameless protagonist. I see what animates that energy, that okay, we could get rich off of this, right? And that's the other scheme, the get rich quick schemes, right? Which like rarely work, and if they do work, they work for the people that get in early, which pretty much speaks to being a pyramid scheme, maybe, possibly, probably, right? Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I am stuck behind this GLK binge, driving extremely slow. I'm not even gonna look inside to see who it is. We're not even gonna do that. We're gonna leave that for later. Anyway, we're gonna leave that type of conversation for after the hope-ism conversation. Yeah, so I get the hope-ism, but as a matter of fact, we're gonna ducktail right into that conversation. Screw it. The hope-ism leads to this, right? So for those of you that saw the clip, shout out to the brother Artisan MC. He shared it. He shared it from another channel. I gotta find out who that brother was so I can shout him out also. But shout out to the brother Artisan MC. He shared it, and so I also put it in the description for us to talk about it. And that is what Kevin was speaking to there on that clip, which is about what, 30 seconds long, if even, is what Mr. Z speaks about all the time. Y'all heard the young lady chuckling or giggling, and you know, just the I am not going to, or I find it funny that you're telling me to think about regular dudes, average guys, right? $40,000, $50,000 a year guys. And all of the content that we've been watching, especially over the past 2 to 3 years, really emphasizing the money part of the conversation, right? Not character flaw, not personality, not looks, but the money part, right? It speaks to women's delusion. That's what's made this conversation so interesting, and it's gotten to a fever pitch over the past few years, is that now that we're having the money part of the conversation, and even with Professor Black Truth, we're asking and demanding that women give us their answer for what type of money they're looking for in these relationships. That's when we get to delusional land, as evidenced once again by the Black Authority. What was it, the night before, 2 nights ago, when he was speaking to the 3 young ladies, 1 from Britain, 2 from the US, right? I think the darkest skinned sister was the youngest. She was from Virginia Beach. The light skinned sister that looked model-esque was in California. I don't remember where she was from originally. And then the other sister was somewhere in the UK, right? The other light skinned sister. And I mean, they all sounded pretty delusional. Obviously, the 18-year-old sounded the most delusional. She don't know yet. She don't know. The 23-year-old, she's model-esque. She could possibly end up with what she's looking for financially, but that speaks to her looks. And she didn't come off like a complete and total a-hole. So, good looking, not a complete and total a-hole, in an era of a-hole women who think it's a character trait to be an a-hole, right? So that young lady is probably gonna end up with a pretty great man with a lot of money, right? And she could continue being delusional only because she looks good and she's not a complete and total a-hole. Yeah, ladies, it's that easy. Just not being a complete and total a-hole in this environment could potentially land you a husband, because we're in the era of women getting off being a-holes because they think it's a positive character trait, and they think that this weird cosmic justice, cosmic retribution, cosmic payback towards men in general, black men specifically, is what they should be on. So yeah, right? So Kevin speaking to the young lady, and he's like, you know, I'm advocating for average guys, hot dog eating, you know, apple pie loving, baseball watching type men. And you can hear the lady when the clip first starts, you can hear her saying, "Oh my God," right? Or "Oh God," right? Like, they're so obsessed with the idea and the concept of living an extravagant life and definitely girls and you know, being opulent and having the nicest of nice things just for the sake of having them, just to look down on others, primarily other women, and just to tell other men how much you can't afford them. They're so obsessed with that idea that telling them about average, regular, normal guys is essentially telling them to end up with a Dusty, with a bum. There's really no delineation, and that's what we continue to see now more and more on Professor Black, not Professor Black Shoes, sorry, the Black Authority's channel, or his business channel is different. It's not on the Black Authority, but on the business channel, is you're seeing that if you're not a top 20% guy, you might as well kill yourself, right? And once again, this is not all women. It's debatable if it's most, but it's definitely a critical mass, and it's significant enough to affect your society. Once again, y'all know Mr. Z likes to tell y'all, this is not just a black woman thing. This is a woman thing, right? And this is what they're on. This is what they're on. Y'all heard me pause because this guy sped up to close the door in front of me, but then he's not driving, of course. Yeah, so, you know, we're in this environment, and this affects your birth rate, this affects your marriage rate, this affects everything. Your college enrollment, right? And I'm watching things where women are like, well, men are not going to college. Why would I go to an institution with women like you who tell me how shit of a man I am? Because I'm a man and I'm heterosexual and I like having sex and I like women. Why would I be in an institution that's 60-40 split women, 65-40, 65-35 split women? I'm not the best looking guy. I'm not the most athletic. I'm not the smartest. I'm a regular dude that happens to be in college or university. So I can be overlooked and told how I'm trash, right? Why would I ever take that deal? And women don't ever consider that, right? Because what we see in China now is a prime example of that. And hopefully you guys can still hear me. Maybe I'll repeat it. I know I'm in the dead zone area right now. What we see in China is a prime example. Even though there's some 30-40 million more men than women, many women would rather be single than end up with the guys they think they're better than. In an environment where they run the yard, because there's many more young men, we're talking about millennial men, than there are women. Because the one-child policy in China meant that the parents decided to have their boys instead of their girls. And so you end up in this environment where they have some 30 million plus more boys or men now than women. But the women are so held rather be single than end up with the men they think they're better than. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, once again, I am not a woman. I can't dictate to women what they should like, what they should want, right? But this does speak to all those sociologists, right, and social engineers, and the commentators who really think you're going to get women off of this out of desperation. Some, yes, all no. Most, that's debatable, right? I saw that super chat come in. Give me 1 second. When I get to a red light, I will read it. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, you guys. Like on the way in. Yeah, so, you know, and I spoke to this when Kevin unfortunately passed, rest in peace, is that, you know, Kevin showed the world the daughters of all of these Xers and boomers. All these 20-something and 30-something-year-old women that were calling in, and even teenage women, the 18 and 19-year-olds, even them that would be calling in to Kevin Samuel's show, turning their noses up at average dudes, being delusional about how much money people in America make in general, men in specific make, right? And how easily they can access the top 20% in the time where we're dealing with like a social stagnation, an economic stagnation when it comes to people that are upwardly mobile in truth, right? And in that environment, you saw how delusional these women were. But this speaks to them being raised by primarily mothers, and the black community primarily single mothers, who never checked that at the door. Friend circles, women friend circles who never check that at the door. So you got your mother, you got your homegirls, you got TV, you have social media, you have other female content creators. Shout out to Chrissy, Paris Milan, Real Talk with Yanni, and all the rest of them, Cynthia G, and all the rest of them, that are helping to make these women so insanely delusional that when they call into this middle-aged man show, they can't help but giggle when he start talking to them about money and how much money men make on average. We also see that now on the Black Authorities, the business channel, when he asked those ladies how much money they think women make, 2 of them were way off. Only 1 of them was somewhat right, and that was the British system. The other 2 were guessing some 50 and 70,000. The darker skinned sister was talking about some 68,000. I understand she's younger, she's 18, she don't know. She don't know. Right? But it does speak to us a level of delusion that never gets checked. It never gets checked. They hold on to that delusion till death. And we're seeing that with millennials right now and younger Xers right now. We don't got to go all the way down to the youngest adult Gen Z. You're seeing that with millennials and young generation Xers now. Young Xers 50 and younger, the oldest of millennials in their early 40s, and the women are insanely delusional. To the point where you have them calling into Tone Talk show, Tone Talk, an attorney out of California, out of the LA area, who talks this money stuff all the time, trying to tell this lady what's going on with cryptocurrency, and she still can't come off of it, off of the delusion. Does that not remind y'all of what I spoke on earlier about Thomas Shapiro? And when Tone Talks interviewed him, and him saying he's a professor, when he speaks to his black female students in particular, they're the ones that really think you could scheme your way out of what's going on. Shout out to the brother. Oh crap, D Scott, give me a second. I was about to read it, D Scott, and the light turned green. Wait a minute. Oh man, right? But yeah, so this is what we're speaking about, right? The delusion is real. The delusion is real, and it affects your society. So when you hear Mr. Z speak about delusional people, delusional women, it's not in a vacuum. That affects your population rate. That affects marriage rates. That affects who's single, why they're single. Because for the longest, we hear women saying dusty men and these men are losers. And what you're finding out more and more is, yeah, there's guys that are immature. But more and more what you're finding out is they're calling regular, normal guys dusties and losers. D. Scott says, old girl was looking like that and from out here in VA. What the F, Popeye's gang. Unfortunately today I can't stop and get something to eat because I will be late if I do. Right. So that yeah. Right. I didn't get to read the last hashtag. I will read it in a second. Shout out to D Scott for the super chat. You know, y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right. I think I see Charles in here. Somebody just took a 3 caddies and knocked them up real quick. I hear some weights clinging in the background. I think I'm in a gym right now. Right. But yeah, so we see the delusion, and it does affect your society. For those of us still in the dating scene, y'all are running into these women on a regular. Especially when you're dealing with 45 and younger. Just insanely delusional. And this is where you get manifest talk, right? These people can't deal with the reality of their environment. Oh boy, you can't be serious right now. Come on. I'm sorry, y'all. Volvo. driving like, you know, people in Volvos do. And we're not talking about the nice hooked up old Volvos too. The boxy ones that's turbo that people are turning into like missiles with the aerodynamic properties of a brick. Still a leave you though. But you know, so we're running into these people in the dating scene. We're running into these people at work. We're running into these people just in our normal day-to-day living. And their resentment towards men, let's be very clear, does affect how they interact with men. Black women's resentment towards black men, because black men haven't made them upper middle class, spoiled brat white women, does affect how they speak about black men, speak to black men, advocate or don't advocate for black men, advocate for even themselves. Because even when they advocate for themselves, in the background, in the subtext, in what's not said, is black men are wayward and losers and bums. And so whatever comes off the white table for black people has to be for black women. You can't trust black men because they're losers and bums. And look, they can't even take care of themselves, let alone black women and children. And much of that is because of the current environment going feminist, but it's also because black women in these spaces despise black men because black men haven't made them upper middle class white women. As evidenced by that Goldman Sachs interview with those black women from a couple years ago, for those of you that did watch it. Right? And so D. Scott said Popeye's gang, and he said 60-hour week gang. Yeah. Yep. Yep, I'm back on my 65 hours plus week gang because I did I'm working overtime on the 17th for a few hours with one city, and then with the other city I'm working on the 24th. I am going to be doing some overtime for the other city. So yeah, so that's what, 2 different weeks where I'll be working extra hours on at both jobs. So yeah, and it's not gonna be no 2 hours extra either. I think it's gonna be like 6 or so more hours. At least for one of the cities, I know it's gonna be at least 5 hours. The other one, it might be 8 hours. No, actually, the other one is gonna be 8 hours. So yeah, so 1 week will be 71-ish, maybe 72 hours, and the next week will be 73-ish hours, maybe 74-ish hours. So yeah. Yes, Mr. Z has done 80 hours in a week, so yeah. I've done it. And Detroit, the brother Detroit says those people can't drive, can't they? Look, South Florida is a yes and no, it depends. Right? Sometimes you get in a good group of drivers and y'all are all pushing it on the expressway, right? And we're just floating around the losers in traffic, right? And then there's other times when everybody is like on slow mode, and it's not you. It's not like you're driving any type of, faster than usual, or more reckless than usual, or any of that. It's just that today is just not your day, and the worst one. Here's the worst one: when you're driving on a 1-lane or a 2-lane, right? Y'all call it 2-lane highways, one going south, one going north, or one going east, one going west. But yeah, a 2-lane road, and like the car in front of you is driving slow as hell, and the lines on the road, on the stripes on the road, don't allow you to cross around them. That's the worst. That's the worst, right? Wow, Detroit, how is that even possible? He says in Michigan people can't drive. That is like Motor City. How can people not drive in Motor City? How can you not drive in the city of the Hellcats and the 5.0 Mustangs and the Camaros and Corvettes? Insane. That's like being in Germany, living next to the Autobahn, and Benz's, Beamers, Porsches, fast Volkswagens are all over the place, and everyone's like that they can't drive. Right? But yeah, so rest in peace to Kevin. Because like I said, the gift that keeps on giving, even in death, he's doing more to have the conversation about these things than many of your supposed black talking heads, black people that care about other black people, black politicians, all of that, right? Even in death, Kevin is contributing more than the rest of these people. No wonder Tiffany Cross went at him, right? And rest in peace to her MSNBC career, right? No wonder Tiffany Cross mentioned him, because even in death, he's more influential than any one of these other people. And let's be honest, they're jealous. Yeah, I said it. They are jealous. A man that died in his mid-50s is more influential than all of these other talking heads. And what he was talking about was relationships. And he was an image consultant. And he's more influential than black pundits that's been doing this for a couple decades now. Shout out to Roland Martin. Ooh, I wasn't supposed to say that. Right? He was definitely more influential than Tiffany Cross ever will be. Right? Kevin showed the world who exactly are these women and these girls who keep on talking about how much better they are, than their black male counterparts, all in academia, all in those feminist classes, all through colleges and university across the country. All those girls and women who keep on talking about black boys and men like they ain't ish, right? Intellectualizing their misandry, right? Using their credentials, right, to hide behind with their misandry. And all Kevin did was say, here's a microphone and a camera. Go ahead, let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel. And all you heard was misandrous, hyper-capitalist, materialistic, consumeristic, neoliberal assessment of men, particularly black men. You didn't hear women speaking about black men's character flaw as much as you heard women complaining about money. And not bum women complaining about money. Women complaining about not having a particular lifestyle they can live. Whether she had her own money or not. Whether she was educated or not. I want to stress that. Whether she had her own or not. The model-esque sister that was just on the Black Authority, on Jason Black's broadcast on The Business, she drove an Audi S5. What are those, $70,000, $80,000 vehicles? When all is said and done, I think they start off, right, all-wheel drive, turbo, nice leather, navigation, right? I think those make some 3-something, 400 and something horsepower. The Quattro all-wheel drives. Yeah, I don't know if she had the coupe or the sedan. Either way, she said it was 2020, so I think it's some 300 and something, maybe 400 and something horsepower all-wheel drive. So when all is said and done, she's coming out the pocket maybe 60, 70, 80, somewhere in there, $60,000 to $80,000. And yet she's looking for a person to put her in. What car did she say? Was it some hundreds of thousands of dollar vehicle? Oh, she said Aston Martin DB11. My apologies. Aston Martin DB11. So we're looking at $250,000 plus. Some 300,000 plus, right? She says she's going to get that car, and she's okay with doing it for herself, but she would rather a man put her in that car, right? Aston Martin DB11. The 18-year-old really didn't know what was going on. She don't really know. The sister from VA. Right? Oh, I gotta read that comment. The brother K. Dot says, a black woman divester said, don't deal with a white man who sympathizes with black men and men who are on code with each other. Men are on code. Wow. Translation. If you let's think about the environment that we're living in, this country that we're living in with its history. If you're a white man who doesn't sympathize with black men, that means you're a racist. Straight out. So what she's really saying is end up with a racist white man. Anybody remember the video with the black female attorney barking at the white judge for being too lenient to the black young man defendant? Right? Right? Because there are a handful of white guys that see it and know it. There's a handful. I ain't counting them, right? I'm not counting on any of their support or help or any of this. But there are a handful that kind of get it. And what she's saying is stay away from those guys. So what? End up with the ones that's indifferent at best and racist and anti-black male, misandrous at worst? Right? So what we're saying, what they say, the oppressed often take on the worst characteristics of the oppressor. And if black women have used this kind of moral high ground thing to badger everyone else in society, including straight black men, then what we're dealing with are a group of people that are going to college and university more and more, which means they're being institutionalized, let's call a thing, in a white racist society, because they're mainly going to PWIs, not HBCUs, right? And they're still getting indoctrinated in HBCUs, let's stop kidding ourselves. But they're mainly going to PWI. So for those of you, PWI, predominantly white institution, colleges and universities. So they're attending PWIs, they're being institutionalized by white racist feminists, and then they're coming out of those universities even more anti-black male than they were before. But now they can intellectualize their misandry, and they got the credentials to hide behind. And they know the books to reference, and the authors to reference, and the quotes to reference when they're being sexist, misandrous monsters towards men in particular, men in general, black men specifically. Right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? And these are the women that our society is telling us to marry. The ones that snickered and laughed and giggled when Kevin Samuel said, what's wrong with average, essentially. And we saw that multiple times on Kevin's streams. Women, average? Who wants to be with average? Literally saying that. That I am not paraphrasing. Right? These are the people that this society is chastising black men and badgering black men for not turning into wives. The ones that say, oh God, when Kevin says average, normal, regular Americans, tax-paying citizens. And notice what he did in that clip. He went through, these are tax-paying citizens. There is nothing wrong with them. These are not bums. And that's what I love about this conversation about money, because a lot of those brothers were, no, the problem is y'all don't want to try hard enough. Yeah, what y'all got to say now? When more and more, when y'all interview these women, they're saying average. They put average men in the same category as the bum dudes that's sleeping on their mom's couch. They don't delineate. There's no distinction between those two type of men. Spain man, true indeed. True. Spain man says apparently being a white man on a HBCU campus is a cheat code to unlimited black kitty cat. Yeah. Yep. Especially if you could do a little two-step and you listening to the whatever newfangled rapper there is that's not saying nothing in their music, right? And you're gonna learn blackness from a black woman, a young black woman, a young black misandrous woman. That's who you're gonna learn blackness from, huh? Right? And shout out to the brother Ryan James. He says, average would be a direct reflection of who these black women truly are. Average at best. I would love to be with a Rosario Dawson, but I don't have Rosario Dawson money. And you know what? Ryan, you speak to something. They would rather be single than acknowledge that they themselves are average, and so it's okay to be with an average man. Because being with an average man would speak to them being average. So they would rather be single and hold out the hope for the walking lottery ticket of a man than be with an average guy and go out and sell out in the sunset and make something of their lives and maybe produce above average children. Or that man rises up the ranks at work, or, you know, he himself create a business or something like that, and he slowly climbs out of average. But as we said, these women said they're not building with a man anymore, right? They said it themselves, and they said no struggle love. So, hey, there you go. Right? Trina B, actually 100% true. It's our culture to shame people for having a job in general. There is crazy pressure to have your own business when everyone is not cut for it. Well, that's that neoliberal talk. That's what that is, Trina B. That's that neoliberal talk. That's that Milton Friedman talk, right? If you're not trying to be the richest, most ballerific dude or woman on the planet, preferably men, right? Preferably men, then you get what you get and you deserve your crappy station in life. Not that you deserve basic respect. No. If somebody disrespects you, if somebody insults you, if somebody belittles you, you deserve it because you ain't trying to win the lottery by creating some LLC. Right? Working a 9 to 5 is not good enough. Why aren't you trying to die with 2, 3, 5, 6, 20 hustles? Are you able to breathe? Can you feel your feet at night? You can feel your feet at night, you ain't trying hard enough. You're not barely walking when you walk in the door of your home at night, you're not trying hard enough. You're not trying to buy at least a McMansion and a $70,000, $80,000 luxury car at the least, you're not trying hard enough. Right? Oh, Spain man, let's not even start rappers lyrics in music when it comes to this hyper-capitalist shit. Well, let's not, bruh, we will have a freaking list of quotes from Key West all the way up to like Ontario, Canada. Like yeah. I said Ontario, sorry. Ottawa. Let's not even start that. Right? All the hustle lyrics in hip hop going back from like the late 80s, let's not even do that. Let's not even do that. That list is going to be way too long. Right? But this is the environment, right? And shout out to Trina B for that comment. That's 100% true. But that's that Milton Friedman talk. That's that we're going to strip this country of unions, right? We're going to strip this country of unions. We're going to destroy labor rights slowly but surely, right? We're going to destroy the concept of still having some honor in day-to-day work, right? You still could be proud as a day-to-day 9-to-5 worker working in some factory somewhere, right? Victor Creed said, did I miss the train tracks? Yes, you did. As a matter of fact, I did not say train tracks, and I actually did go over train tracks. I actually did. Right? But because we did that, we and I get it, black people, especially for us, right? I get why so many of us weren't fighting to keep those things intact. And so now we're here where the fight is to start a business and do your own thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to poo-poo businesses, black businesses, because I think we need them. I think we need them, and we need to show our children that, look, there are black people that own things that are theirs, that have billions of dollars of hundreds of $billion market cap, if not $1 trillion market cap, right? Fortune 500 companies. But at the same time, poo-pooing 9-to-5 work is how you get your daughters here. Because men were having this conversation in the presence of girls and women. And your girls and women then turn that conversation as an attack on you. Right? They heard the elders chastising the boys and men for not starting businesses. By the way, entrepreneurship before COVID-19 was at a 40-year low across the board in America, not just for black people, because even white people and Latinos got priced out the game, right? I know that's hard to believe because y'all see Latinos with their little lawn care service businesses and all this other stuff all over the place, and it's hard to believe that entrepreneurship was at a 40-year low pre-COVID, right? So that means up to 2019 or 2020. I know it's hard to believe. But in that same environment, in that 40-year span from 1980 to about 2020, all we heard was that the problem with black people is that they're not trying to start businesses. Then you find out from 92 to 2012, we started some 2 million businesses, according to Dr. Jared Bald. I said Bald, excuse me, Dr. Jared Ball. Right? So because the women were listening to that and they were growing in their misandry, you get them turning that language upside down and then attacking black men with it. And using it as fuel to sound even more misandrous. Right? What have y'all built? Y'all are conquered. Right? I know I saw Charles say something. Charles said, the divestors want to be with racist white men, but then when they get assaulted or bamboozled, they want black men to come in like Superman and rescue them. Charles is 100% right. I would like to direct y'all to Crystalline Kerosene with the Veganator. She didn't say anything about her other male subscribers, and she had white male subscribers and Latino male subscribers. She said black men. Where were black men? So you bought the white guy on. to talk crap about black men, and he turned around and said how easy it is with black women and how desperate y'all are for white male validation. He turned it on you, and then you asked where black men were to defend you and other black women. Understand what I want to shoot you with this gun, but why won't you save me when the gun literally backfires and shoots me in the face? That's literally what Crystal and Karazin did. Tried to shoot us with the white gun, and when it backfired and shot her in the face, pun intended, she asked where we were to save her from her own would-be weapon. Right? Spain Man says, I never had a problem with rappers until it seemed like rappers were bragging on the average Joe. Exactly. And there is something to be said about two particular people, Tone Talks and Yvette, never being on mainstream big time media. I could never see them on, because nobody want to hear that. Remember what Channing Dungey said, wish fulfillment TV, aspirational TV. That's all this goes back to Nixon. Sell them on capitalism. When y'all hear me say that, once again, remember why I go in on capitalism the way I do. It's not because I can't acknowledge all the great things that have come from this particular economic system, but it's also been used, especially post 1970, to make black people in particular delusional. Nixon found a way to weaponize it. Tricky Dick's legacy still lives on. Right? You imagine Charlemagne saying some crazy stuff, right? And I'm sorry, y'all. You imagine Charlemagne saying some crazy stuff about money, or DJ, especially DJ Envy. DJ Envy can't deal with Yvette in that office, in that room, in that studio. Trell Bentley, exactly. Trell Bentley said, capitalism is the best and the worst at the same time. Isn't it? Pretty much. Right? And what you're getting right now is the delusion. Because, you're getting a lack of upward mobility. This is one of the most, there was a social scientist that said something like, there's more upward mobility currently in Britain right now, in the UK right now, than there is in the US. So a little monarchy has more upward mobility than the US. Right? And if we're going to talk about the free market, Trell Bentley says capitalism, no, not that one. Trell Bentley says the undefeated free market is ruthless. Then people got it. Okay, if you swear by that, if you swear by a free market, and I'm not saying you do, Trell Bentley, I know what you're saying, but if you swear by a free market, then you got to deal with all of what come with that, including in the dating scene, ladies. That means there's no social safety net. That means there's no social safety net in the dating scene. You get what you get. Paris Malone, oh, we live in a capitalist society. Yeah, okay. Your subscribers don't really know what that means. When you say that means eat all of it. Free market capitalism, that means eat all of it. Be prepared to either all jump on the same wealthy dudes, or because you think you're better than the average guy, be singled in. Right? Spain Man and Shrell are killing me right now, and Afro National, right? So Afro National says capitalism is as good as long as no crony and hyper capitalism live in the work. I mean, what are we doing now? Right? And then Spain Man says, I lament for the day that black folks discovered what a CEO was, bruh. But isn't that you attempting to appeal to whites that you're on the same thing they're on? Look, y'all are heavy business minded. It's not about race, it's about class, like Kanye dumbass said. Right? Look, we're saying the same thing. It's not about race, it's about class. We say it a little different, right? The only color I see is green. Weren't the rappers saying that straight for like 20 years? The biggest crock of crap ever, because back to back what you saw were white people saying, yeah, I'll cut my nose to spite my face, and I won't make money with you. Right? You saw that over. That's the whole Byron Allen complaint. And the former wife of Bob Johnson. And Diddy. That's their complaint. There you go right there. We have the money. That was Bill Cosby's whole thing. Hey, I got the money to buy NBC. I got the investors. We're ready. Oh, they don't want to do business with a black man. Fast forward 20 years later, Byron Allen, Diddy, right? Bob Johnson's ex. And then we got talking heads in the black community. You're not trying to start businesses. Remember, at the same time, that entrepreneurship was at a 40-year low. Tying that to the Kevin conversation and the hope-ism, you get what you hear now. You get the young lady that spoke to Tone Talks. You get the young lady that spoke to Kevin Samuels. Just delusional as all get out. And standing on it. Right? And that's much of the reason why divestors are divestors. Why swirlers are swirlers. It's not because black boys and men are that horrible. It's because they have a neoliberal assessment of men and masculinity. Shout out to the brother FD Signifier. At least he said that part. He got it from me. But at least he said that part. Yeah, Mr. Z just patted himself on the back. Right? A neoliberal assessment of men will pretty much have you dating white men, white Latino men, and South and East Asian men. The ones that will have you, the ones that are not racist as crap. Right? Charles says, Z, what's the point of businesses or billions of dollars if no one's willing to sell or trade with you? No one seems to know how to answer this with the whole black business thing. Charles, I would like to remind y'all that Mr. Z is Haitian descent. Remember what happened at the end of our independence? What did all the white countries said? Nah, we ain't trading with you niggas. With you French-speaking niggas, we ain't trading with y'all. What's the point of being independent if now you can't start to rise? And by the way, they blockade you. And by the way, the French demand that you pay for all the free slaves. So I know exactly what you're saying, Charles. I know exactly what you're saying. It's like every couple of years too, a bank gets sued for not loaning to black people because of racism. Not loaning to black people because of their credit score, but because they're racist, because of racist practices. Every few years that happens. Right? Indigo Flow said, did Haiti super dirty? You see what I'm saying? Canada, America, France, Britain, all of them colluding. Yeah, nah, nigga. Y'all actually won the war? Okay, watch this. Oh, and by the way, the money for independence, we're going to have somebody that you trust, a white person that you trust, take that money, bring it to the U.S. and open a university with it. Oh, yeah, that really happened. I can't remember what name of the university it is. Terrell says, shout out to the Monroe Doctrine. Yes, this whole Western, the whole West, North America and South America belong to the U.S. Europeans, y'all stay y'all ass over there. For real. Spain man said it's the devil's contract capitalism is. I'm saying, look, bro, I don't care about none of this stuff. Whatever economic system works best for black people, black men specifically, that's what I'm on. If it's capitalism, it's capitalism. If it's socialism, it's socialism. I'm not gonna say the C word, because I already think they listen to me anyway, and they be offing niggas that start talking the C word, so I ain't gonna mention that. Right? But the reason why I speak about capitalism so much is because listen to the sister. Listen to how she, oh God, when Kevin started speaking. Average, they're looking down on average brothers, 40, 50, $55,000 a year guys. That's why I also said, if they don't give white guys a discount for skin tone, or Latino guys a discount for straight hair, for the white or more mestizo looking Latinos they date, they not gonna find those guys appealing either. Because the average white guy don't got it like that neither. That's what I'm saying. Black women will be miserable in their dating life, in their marriage life. Because they're just delusional when it comes to the opposite sex. They don't know what they're talking about. They just don't. They get the money part wrong almost all the time. For women's income and for men's income, they get the savings rate wrong. They get the inheritance wrong. Oh, when I was going around speaking about white men's college enrollment, you had a sister following me around all over the interwebs saying, well, white men still get inheritance. You mean $50,000 to $75,000? That's nice down payment on a house. I'll give you that. That's a nice payment on a nice big F-250, right? Or 2,500 Dodge Ram, yeah. And that's it. There you go. There go the money. Yeah, I'm about to end out right now, Charles. Charles says, turn on, and shout out to the brother J Bones. Charles says, turn on later when I speak about the criminally delusional women, the logical and the lack of standards the men have that created the turmoil. Bruh, go in, bro. Hey, y'all, get that person out of here. The best adult dating site, get them out of here. Get them out of here, y'all. Thank you, Trell. That's why I made y'all shooters. That's why I made y'all the shooters. Right? But yeah, man. Look, I like speaking to my elders, Trell, Spain Man, Charles, even though Charles and me, like, practically, Charles is only a few years older than me. I'm happy we having a real conversation. We're talking about successful men. Charles and Trell and Spain, we're not bums. These are not bums we're talking about. There's not losers we're talking about. And it's good to have an actual real conversation about money and status. Even Black Uru, BGS, these are not bums. And you see, even when we talk money, they're like, what the hell are you Negroes talking about? Right? Black Uru is a CPA that put 2 daughters through school, through private school, through university, and one of them is married. And even he's like, what the hell are these Negroes talking about when they talk about money? Right? That doesn't mean that we don't try to encourage y'all to go to school, encourage y'all to start a business. But it does mean when y'all start talking delusional, and then y'all raise y'all daughters to sound like the women that were on Kevin Samuels or on Tone Talks, then you wonder why your daughter is 40 years old, not married. 45 years old, not married. Where are all you boomers at? And whatever silent generation is listening in, whatever few of you, you wonder why your daughters have never gotten married. Some of them have children, some of them don't. Right? Like Professor Black Truth said, irreconcilable difference. When you find out what the irreconcilable difference is, it's money and it's the women. Right? You wonder how we got there. So I won't chastise women, black women specifically, for wanting some type of hypergamy. But you don't live in that time anymore. You can't have equality and hypergamy simultaneously. You can't. It don't work that way. And even worse, when women start to outpace men little by little. Right? So I'll pause right there, y'all. Like, share, subscribe on the way out. Right? Hit the thank you button for the replay squad. Mr. Z out. Love, peace, and chicken grease.